Well, actually, is the right answer.
It's probably still the right answer for that. Yeah.
I'm having such fun
Are
with
we
this.
live, Sam?
Push the button, but I'm logging in right now to check the stream.
Okay.
I don't know if it actually goes live until I do it on the computer too.
Cool.
But we could be live right now.
We could be live right now. Okay, well, we'll just...
Screen blacked out right now.
Okay. So we'll just talk for a second and make sure that we're actually going to be
Like,
streaming on the interwebs, the World Wide Web.
And then I'm going to take y'all out of black whenever we.
So we're still just here,
so this is
possibly live.
like live B-roll.
I'm sorry.
This is like live B-roll.
Very much. Very
Yeah.
much. Yeah. And I I kind of feel like what we tried 2 weeks ago. Are we live yet, Sam?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
and
great.
I'm about to fade to y'all.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, hey, welcome everybody. Travis Eason here, sitting with D. Grant Smith. We did this sort of, kind of, for about 17 minutes 2 weeks ago as a sort
Nice
of
little
test,
beta test.
little beta test. We are coming to you live from Majestic Coffee, downtown Abilene, Texas, and yeah, have a
Product
sip of
placement.
coffee. I love the iced mocha. And I'm sitting here with D. Grant, and we're going to try to talk about some things again, and we'll see where the conversation goes. We were a little bit all over the map last time, and we unfortunately talked about a lot of things after our feed quit, but that's
That was
okay.
really some of the meat and potatoes too.
It was good stuff. So we've talked about why are we doing a podcast, what is going on here. For those of you that are tuning in to the Neon Parrot Live podcasts on YouTube, we have started doing some live streaming here downtown at the coffee shop in the B space. Sam has been live streaming the open mic nights on Sunday, and I think that those are starting to look really good. And then our good friend Benjamin Fair has started the breakdown with Ben.
It's such an awesome. I don't like sports. Actually, that's not true. I don't follow sports because I used to be adamantly obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that obsession was like causing my mental health to not be super awesome. I still follow boxing, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But my family, my parents in particular, are very, very into football. So I appreciate that Ben, like watching Ben's show.
Mm-hmm.
My parents came into town in back-to-back weeks, last weekend and the week before that. And it gave me, Ben's show gave me fodder for me to have conversations with my family about that I otherwise would not have had. And what a gift. Also, Ben Fair is like a closet hidden, well, not closet anymore, but like he's like a hidden Colin
Cowherd.
Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like he was made for this shit.
He was made for sports radio.
And I'm a huge Ben Fair fan anyways, because he's my boy. But I'm super excited to have him up here and to like watch him do his sports
and
breakdown.
continue to grow it. He's really committed to putting together a show every week, and I know he's going to try to get some guests. We are going to try to get some guests as we continue to discuss what it is we're discussing.
So here's my thought, and forgive me, Trav.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about last time, our first debut beta test run, whatever, about what we were gonna. One of the things that didn't get recorded or didn't get aired was what do we call this show? And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is hilarious to me, but naming the show, because A, how do you spell that? And B, nobody and their dog on any planet in the multiverse would call a show And what is the show about? But we're two good buddies sitting down and having honest, real, deep conversations. And sometimes we go through experiences where we don't exactly know how to describe it, except that we just sound it out.
Yeah.
And we're doing that about our community here in Abilene. We're doing that about being artists, because you and I are different types of artists. But to me, it's almost just like it's another fun way to just like bring something different and something unique.
Absolutely. So let's get to know each other a little bit for our audience.
Dig.
I'll ask you some questions and you can ask me some questions.
Winner.
How about that?
Winner.
All right. So, did you grow up in Abilene?
No. I have lived in this town longer than I've lived anywhere.
Same.
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. I lived in 3 houses and then moved to Houston in 4 houses. Moved to Houston when I was 9-ish. 91. And then lived in the Houston suburb of Sugar Land. My parents got divorced in 98, 97, 98. And then we moved again, but I stayed there till I graduated high school. And then my high school best friend, I didn't have a plan really for what I was going to do in college. I'd been working at a radio station when I was in high school. That was at a junior college. And I think my loose plan was I'll just go to college there, get a radio job somewhere, and like make a name for myself somehow. Truthfully, I was not good. Like, I had a monotone tone, 0 inflection, was not good at reading. But I'd made friends with 2 of the guys that worked at the station, and they were my boys. And so they, like, elevated me to a position that, like, I honestly didn't deserve. But that experience opened the door for me to come up here. Because my high school best friend was like, hey, dude, why don't you come to Abilene and go to ACU with me? I'm like, what is Abilene? Never heard of it before. Came up here and watched Sing Song in 2000, and was like, this is a small town. It reminded me in a lot of ways of being in like the little communities in Birmingham that I lived in, and everybody seemed to know everybody. Everything's 10 minutes away. People are really friendly, and it was just like a courteous place to be. So I moved here in 2000. Moved to Clyde in 2010, and I've lived in that house longer than I've lived anywhere. And people ask me, so are you from Clyde? Are you from Abilene? And I realized that, like, I kind of probably should say that I am now. So that's originally, like, in terms of where I was born, no. But, like, I got to claim this place because it's been my home.
You put down roots. All right, ask me to get to know Travis'
I didn't know if we were going to be doing, like, back to back.
Let's go back and forth.
So I know you're not from Abilene originally, but what is it that brought you here? And then what is it that has led you to put your roots down so that now this is where you not only reside, but like this is where your passion lies?
I think it's 100% a combination between biology and the law. I mean, I moved here for a girl. I moved across the country 1,000 miles for love. So that's, when you're 23 years old, you're thinking,
where did you move from?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay.
And, you're thinking with your smaller, your 2 brains, that's what happens. You make big moves. And so 1,000 miles away, we were together for a few months and got pregnant and got married. And we're married for 10 years, 3 beautiful kids, grandbaby now. So that's the law part of it, is post-divorce, stuck in Taylor County. Got to raise them babies.
Your kids are awesome.
My kids are awesome and mostly grown, and I'm really proud of all of them. But, so what has made me be involved in the community, I think it's something that's been ingrained in me since elementary school to do your civic duty, to be a good citizen. And that means something different for everybody. But for me, it means to engage in your community and the people in your community and to see if you can't help make it better in your own little way. And I can't not do that.
So you do that in your relationships too, man. Like, so I was, before we sat down to do today's show, I met a couple friends here early to take a photo. That's all we needed to do. But my buddy Topher was I was telling him about, like, well, Sam and Travis are outside, and I was like, and I was telling my other buddy Vinny, I was like, Travis is a badass tattoo artist. He's done all my work. And Topher was like, oh, I need to talk to him about tattoos. I'm like, yeah, you do. So I'm saying all that to say, like, your creativity and your love and your passion, like that comes through in everything that you do. And it's a part of your story, man. And like you've helped me tell my story in a variety of ways, but especially like with ink, and I'm so thankful for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, even after tattooing for over 14 years now, it still just feels like it's day number 2 half the time. And but I am grateful to be a Renaissance man, even if there's a big part of me that feels stuck in West Texas. And so I think it was George O'Keeffe, the painter, that said, paint your geography, paint what you see where you're at. And so that's why, you know, I think in part that's why we're trying to start this podcast, these podcasts. I think that's why, you know, Sam and I and some other wonderful people, including a couple of my kids, are starting to do the live music at the Old Cotton Warehouse. It's a free event, and I think that's, you know, I'd like to say, well, that's us giving back to the community. I don't know if that's the case. I think it's more like we're trying to help create more community and more culture. As I was driving down here today, I was thinking a lot of times in my process with people or just in interactions as a creative person, I feel like I'm a creative doula. So, you know, you're going through this process, but I can be here to trip sit a little bit, hold your hand. Maybe I have some insight, maybe I don't. And I feel like maybe that's what some of what we're going to hopefully uncover in this podcast and the people that we bring on and talk to, that we can get to the heart of Abilene's cultural birthing.
I also wonder if it's beyond that.
I hope so.
Like not just beyond the Abilene cultural birthing and be something deeper than just that for this place, but like there's a dynamic of something that you shared last time, and I'm not sure if it was part of the recording that actually aired or not, but this concept and this idea that this geographical place doesn't exactly know its identity.
Right.
And the more that I've thought about that, for me, I think that that's actually the story of most places and most people. Because we have within myself are all kinds of different personalities, and they vocalize themselves in different ways in my mind. And I have journeyed through, you can call it states of consciousness, you can call it just different ways of showing up in the world, different personalities, whatever. But like there's a super shy part of me that doesn't want to be known, and then there's this very charismatic, gregarious part of me that has no fear about anything and just wants to be super expressive. And then there's all kinds of little different colors and tweaks and versions of the in-betweens. And I think that's true for most people. It's definitely true in this town, because you can ask one group of people that might be artists, hey, what do you feel is the identity of Abilene? And they're going to tell you one thing. And then you can ask a different group of artists, maybe on a different side of town, or maybe doing different kinds of stuff, or maybe from different kinds of whatever, tweak the spectrum. And they're going to give you a completely different story that has absolutely nothing to do with what the original people said. And you can add a third dynamic and a fourth and a 12th, and you're going to get all these different kinds of things. And so what is the identity? Is it one of those things? Is it all of those things? What's the cohesion that's there?
Right.
And so I'm really interested in understanding, and this is why, like, part of what I do is I ask questions to understand for myself. And I'm finding that the more I ask other people questions and they answer them, they understand themselves better. So maybe part of our work here and maybe part of our podcast is just in the questions of us understanding who we are as individuals, who we are as a community. And whether you're watching, I'm going to just say, whether you're watching as an Abilenian or a Texan or an American or a human, there's a bit of our shared identity and our shared story that comes out.
I like that. So as you were talking, my mind was thinking about a couple different things about just the different cultures that can exist within a city or a community, even artistically and or regionally. The two things that are coming to my mind right now, unfortunately, is this hurricane that's hit Appalachia, but that region has an identity, and they all identify with being from Appalachia. I mean, I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee. My uncle's there right now with his Jeep helping clear roads. But there is like a central theme throughout that huge landmass of identity. And then, my son and I were making a big road trip loop this summer and driving through Arizona and New Mexico. I can't remember that interstate right now, but maybe it was 40. Just like for hours, it's nothing but beads and Native American jewelry forever. And that's like that's like an identity. That's a cultural identity that's regional, right? And so like even if you were to go into one of these other places that already has that cultural identity and try to start something new, I don't know that it would go, because there's already this sort of, I'm going to use the word muck and mire, possibly. But when it comes to a community like Abilene, we're not that old, 100 and some years old, because the train came through and we were a cattle town. So we have like our historical roots in our culture, and we look around beautiful historic downtown Abilene and we see a lot of that still today. But we're not that. We're not moving cattle through Abilene anymore. Right?
Some people are.
Well, some people are, but not through downtown.
No.
And the train that comes through town all the time doesn't have any passengers on it. So people aren't using that system as a means of transportation to and from this community.
That's an interesting dynamic of what you're talking about.
Right? So like even though this place started as a thing, all of that infrastructure is different now. And we talked about this some last time. We've got a lot of colleges here. The breakdown with Ben likes to focus on ACU football. Go Cats. But
both of our alma maters.
Our alma maters. And we love us some ACU. And you would think that with McMurray, Hardin-Simmons, we talked about them all last time. TSTC, Tech's got the pharmaceutical thing. I'm missing a bunch. That we would be a college community. We have a ton of kids that come to this town, and a lot of professors and faculty and staff that live and work here, and we're just the farthest thing from a college town.
I think you're touching on the fact that there's a lot, and I think this isn't just Abilene specific.
Right.
It's probably very true in some bigger major metropolitan cities, but also probably some other smaller cities in Texas, like Lubbock could easily be a college town.
I think it is. No?
I don't know, but see, that's
okay.
the point. Like, there are dynamics where it would make you go from the outside looking in, it would make sense to see that this place is this thing because of these reasons.
Right.
These categorical examples say that A plus B equals C.
Right.
But that's not always the case. And partially it's because, like you were saying, the train comes through, but the train's purpose is not serving the purpose that it was originally done 100 years ago.
It's not stopping here.
There's a whole lot of cowboy culture in our town
Absolutely.
and in our community. And cowboy culture is still very strong, and there's still a lot of ranches, and like that whole industry is incredibly big.
Yep.
But that is not pervasive across every region and every facet of our economy or our regular everyday schmo lifestyle. So part of this dichotomy is each one of us, and again, this is a human thing, we have boxes that we're all operating in. And we're putting ourselves in boxes, we're putting other people in boxes, and sometimes we put ourselves in boxes that we can't see over or can't see out of. And so while it might, on the outside looking in, look like this one thing, since we're inside the box, we can't see that.
you're just talking about perspective, which is everything, right? I mean, how we see ourselves, how we see the world. And that's why I think it's important to ask some of these questions about our community, like currently in today, October the 3rd, 2024. What is important about our community? How does our community nourish us and feed us? How do we do that for our community? As an artist, of course, I have a different perspective on it. As an entrepreneur, I have a different perspective on it than probably, one of our alma mater students that's going to English class today. They're not thinking about these sorts of things. But I know both of us have had lots of conversations over the years and years to dig deep into our own journeys, but we're so affected by our geography. Like, your journey is so affected by your geography. I don't know if we can unmarry those two things. Now, maybe you could philosophically, like the monk in the cave or something like this, but
Well, so I appreciate what you just shared, man. Because as a storyteller, I'm instantly thinking of, okay, if I take my favorite characters from any story, and I transplant them and I put them in a different place, it's not the same story at all. Not only does the dynamic of everything change, but the characters themselves change, because everything, so this is a philosophy and a belief that I absolutely agree with and have experienced. It's something you'll find in a lot of esoteric and metaphysical teachings, but the person that I first heard it from is a guy named Neville Goddard. But he said that everyone and everything is you pushed out. So it's the principle that life is a mirror, existence is a mirror of your consciousness. And so what it is that you're experiencing is a reflection of something inside of you that you can't see. If you've ever heard of the Ho'oponopono prayer of, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, it's identifying there's something inside of me that I can't see, but it's being reflected back to me in this person, this situation, this experience that I'm having. And it might not have anything directly related to you, but there was a guy that, I might have told you this story, his name was Dr. Akiahala Hu Lin, and he taught Ho'oponopono to Dr. Joe Vitale, who wrote all these metaphysics manifestation books. But he shared with them, Dr. Lin had completely transformed an entire prison ward of the most dangerous criminals in Hawaii. This is in the 1980s. He did it in a matter of months. And Dr. Vitale asked him, he was a psychiatrist, what was your psychological secret? What did you say to these inmates when you met with them that made them completely change their behavior to go from being psychotic, crazy, like Joker, serious like dudes into these very peaceful, tranquil, personally responsible men who became like gentle like a teddy bear, like literally. What did you psychologically do to transform them? And he said, I never met with a single man. I never met with a single inmate.
Interesting.
What I did was I had their files. And as I'm reading through their files, I haven't actually murdered anybody, haven't raped anybody, haven't beaten anybody, haven't done the things that are in these files, but there's something in that energy that is somewhere inside of me that I can't see. And the only way I'm even able to know that this exists is because it exists inside of me somewhere that I can't see. And so it's my responsibility to take responsibility for whatever energetically is going on here and clean and clear it out of me. God does that work inside of me, and because I'm pointing to this experience or this file or this person, God cleans and clears it out of them, and that's how they changed. And so for a character, take the character out of their geography, put them in a different place, they become a different character. They have a different experience.
So that whole experiment with the prisoners, just to repeat that back to you because this is fascinating. You're saying that this particular psychiatrist, psychologist, doctor, whoever this guy was, just spent time with the file in sort of a prayer / manifestation, energetic transfer, and that was it. I love that. So
And I can attest to the effectiveness of this
okay.
without giving anybody's name away, although if you know me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was married for about a dozen years, and when my marriage ended, things between my former spouse and I became very tumultuous and intense. And both of us did not like each other very much. And somewhere in that span after the marriage ended and everything was just very tense or whatever, I found the book that I'm referring to that had Dr. Akihala Hulin's story in it. I read that book and I started doing Ho'oponopono for myself, and I started doing it for my former partner. I don't call anybody ex anything. So I recognized that whatever was going on inside of our relationship, I'm responsible for 100% of it. She's responsible for her 100%. I'm responsible for my 100%. But I just started praying that prayer over myself and asking God, whatever's going on inside of me that was reflected back in all of the things that sucked and were very painful to me, clean and clear it out of me, clean and clear it out of her, and I just would pray healing the way that Dr. Lynn described it in the book. And no joke, dude. One day randomly, I get this long email from her taking personal responsibility for all kinds of things that had never been taken responsibility for. We sat down and had a conversation. I thought it was gonna last about 10 minutes. Lasted an hour and a half. About 6 months later, she came over to my house again for the first time in years, and we sat on my front porch and had a 4-hour conversation. And it was incredibly loving, incredibly healing, incredibly reconciliatory, and both of us took responsibility for things that we did to each other in our marriage that we'd never recognized we had done before, verbally. And I consider to be one of my good friends now.
Nice.
And I can speak from experience that, like, what Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When I stopped seeing her as this person that had caused me pain and started seeing the things that she was doing to me was a reflection of the way that I actually saw myself, I just couldn't see it. When I took responsibility for that and I forgave and loved myself, everything changed. So it took me as a character in my own story out of this place of feeling like I was being victimized, feeling like I was being hurt or being judged or being rejected, took myself out of that character dynamic, out of that geographical place, metaphysically, and put myself in a different place. And then everything around me changed.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I have some experience with what you're discussing, but I can even break it down in maybe a more accessible way for some people to relate to this conversation. I know for me, as soon as I get out of town, it's like all of a sudden some things shift and change, right? Or I get that phone call I was expecting, or I get the email that I was hoping for. Things kind of, sometimes when I get stuck, it's almost like the simplest solution is just to get out of town for a couple days because it just immediately unstucks. And I still have to come back to the muck and the mire, but it's changed. It's dried out a little bit. It's solidified a little bit. And I always have found that to be super interesting. Sam and I were talking about this earlier this year. It's like if I don't leave town a couple times a year, like every other month or every 3 months, then I find myself in a deeper loop than I really want to be in. And maybe that goes for like getting out of the house, doing things. I'm very comfortable. I'm a nester. I love to be at my house.
Ditto.
It's a safe place for me. Everything is in its place. And it feels good to me. People that come to my house, you've been there, say that it kind of, you get to really know who I am by my surroundings.
Your house is
weird.
like the Shire from Lord of the Rings.
It's strange, but it's peace, and and I've worked hard to create that physically and internally and externally, right? And definitely as I kind of mature in life and hopefully I'm finding nuggets of wisdom along the way, it becomes a lot easier for me to sense, like when I'm out of whack, when the peace isn't there, it's like a red flag. It's an immediate, like, okay, what's going on internally or externally that's shaking my peace?
Which is top priority.
Top priority. Like, nothing else gets done if there's no peace. You're operating out of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you lose process. It's strange. Anyway, we kind of went down some rabbit holes right there.
Dude, part of is the rabbit hole.
That's okay. Sam, how long have we been chatting for?
30 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. It's better than last time. We only got 17
Winner.
on there. That's pretty good. What else is on your mind today?
Oh, man,
Can I talk about something? And instead of asking a question and interrupting you, can I bring something else up a little bit? And
Absolutely.
then get your 2 cents on this?
Absolutely.
So in talking about like energy and hurt and trauma and these different things, have you been affected at all by specifically the hurricane that's been going on this last week? Has that affected you at all?
I think maybe energetically, but not for me, not in a negative way.
Okay.
Truthfully, dude, like one of my best friends messaged me this morning, and she was like, "Hey, you're on my mind, and I just wanted to see how you're doing." But she was also saying like, "I really feel like good things are happening." And I replied back, I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude."
Nice. I like it.
I mean, it's not a stretch for me to say last year, 2023, was the hardest effing year of my human existence. It made what I thought was the hardest year, 2017. It made 2017 ride the bench. And I'm not going to get into the specifics and details of why. Just things that like it was a deeper refining fire in every way, in my business, total refinement, finances, relationship, partnership, all that stuff. Everything that I built my identity around was shaken to its core and in some ways just demolished. But, so my best friend Taryn, she and I both went through similar things, similar dynamics together. One of my best friends. The fact that we went through that journey together and had each other to rely on and like talk through things with, super transformative. And both of us now coming out on the other side of it, like she's reminded me like, hey dude, be thankful for last year. And I am, because I really feel like I'm living my dream life, man.
I love
like
that.
I journal every day. And especially over the last several weeks, it's been like, especially over the last 2 weeks in particular, it's like, dude, like the things that I was writing down that I wanted to experience, I'm actually like, I'm not just journaling it and writing it down with this faith that it's going to happen eventually. I'm living that now.
I love that.
And I think that when hurricanes come, they shake things up. They lift things up out of their foundation. They flip them upside down and they throw them back down. From a physical, metaphysical standpoint, that was 2023. I had an experience, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but in 2019, I went to Fort Worth. I spent a weekend with somebody I'm still very fond of, love very much. When I went into Fort Worth, there was this massive lightning storm. It knocked out the power in a bunch of restaurants, and I thought it was just a really cool way of like God welcoming me into this new part of my life. I recently went to a different town about 2 weeks ago, and spent time with somebody who I love with everything inside of me. And it was just an absolutely wonderful experience. And then when I was driving home was when that massive lightning shower happened on the equinox. And I really feel like those two time periods, like one was a beginning and then one was the end, like a bookend sort of thing. And
Punctuation marks.
yes, and there's all kinds of personal transformation that's taken place in my life, in my psychosis, in my self-concept, my identity. And I feel like that was the gateway that was like, okay, dude, you've closed this chapter of the way that you were, and now there's a new, not chapter that's being written, there's a whole new book and a whole new anthology, which, if I can do a little self-plug shamelessly,
I'll go for it.
I'm releasing my first short story anthology.
Nice.
It's called The Resplendent Window, Volume 1.
The Resplendent Window.
The Resplendent Window, Volume 1. And it's 12 of my stories, beginning to end, talking about leading us through a journey into the heart, into the unknown, into this uncertain, and discovering the self.
Love it.
And I've talked about Be Solid a little bit. In 2019, I did a crowdfunding campaign. I used Indiegogo. I'm doing basically a crowdfunding campaign now, but instead of like inviting people to come in and like give me a couple bucks one time to support just this book, I'm bringing people into my community and sharing everything that I have. So shameless plug, go to growthfarming.com.
Growthfarming.com.
Growthfarming.com. If you want to click the little membership button, you'll see everything that's there. But yeah, like I am personally on my own dime going to order books for everybody that's in my community and autograph them and send them personal notes. But like you get interactions with me way more often than that. But it's an ongoing relationship that I'm cultivating, and I'm super. This is another part of my story, in the continuation of my story, and bringing people into my world and growing together.
Love it. Yeah, y'all go check it out. D. Grant's an amazing person, and he's got a lot to offer.
Thanks, man.
And he's got a deep heart, a very deep heart, which we need more. We need more people to dig deep into their hearts, because there's a bottomless well there in each and every one of us, I believe.
Of absolute gold, too.
If we can work through our own perspectives that might be false or harmful to ourselves. Yes, man, we covered a lot of interesting subjects today. This has been really good. Any closing thoughts, Sam? Sam says,
That's the code, man.
Cool. Well, if you watched this and you enjoyed it, please let us know in the comments. Subscribe to our channel. We're going to try to be producing as many live podcasts as we can week by week. Hopefully bring in other guests and have interesting topics. And
can we set, since we're talking about doing this live?
Yeah.
Roughly now, Thursday mornings.
Around 10-ish.
Around 10-ish Central Time.
We'll get better.
We'll slowly start ixnaying the ish.
Yeah.
And being more timely.
I mean, this is just there's a lot of podcasts. We're one of gazillions, and that the point isn't to be the most popular, the most awesome, or the most technically proficient. We are legitimately a group of people that are blessed to have the equipment and the space and the time and the knowledge and the technical prowess to publish something live. And it doesn't cost us anything except for our time and our energy, and we're just excited to allow for other people that want to come and maybe do something similar to come and do it also. It's a little bit of an open invitation. Clearly you'll be vetted. But even, and I'll give a plug. I wish I could remember the name of the business, but there is a startup business in town in Abilene that has created a podcasting lab where you can go and use their equipment, I'm sure for a fee or something. And I think it looks great. And I hope they have all the success. I hope to see 1,000 podcasts come out of Abilene between now and this time next year, all talk about whatever. I think it's long format discussion, as some of the greats in the media, this particular format of media. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a lot of really great podcasts out there that everybody knows about. Everybody knows those names. And we in some ways emulate them because we've seen that sitting down and talking on camera with a mic in your face it's not that painful.
Facts.
And I think for me personally, if I'm going to create content for social media, then I want to do something that has a little bit more
Heart.
courage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not posting pictures of my kids. I love my kids too much. I'm not going to share all my vacation details with you. You don't care. And if you do, why? Why do you care? It's almost
so I don't get to-
I almost feel like I have to post things on social media just so people remember that I'm alive, or that oh, we thought you moved. Oh, you're still here? Yep, still here.
I disappeared from social media all of last year, for the most part, and such a freeing experience.
Oh man, I was off Facebook for like 2 years, best 2 years of my life.
I've been off of Facebook. The only way anybody knows about anything I have on Facebook is just because my Instagram is connected to it. But I won like some sort of contest recently.
Oh, good for you.
I won second place in a contest. I was gonna have to pay a bunch of money to be a part of this thing. And they're like, well, you need to go to the Facebook group and like them. I'm like, is that the criteria? Because no offense, like I don't do Facebook. It's an energy thing. And even for a $5,000 scholarship to be a part of this thing, like it wasn't enough for me to go back and be a part of that. Like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to quit. I'm just done.
He just quit cold turkey. That's good. That's good. Well, you can find D. Grant Smith on his website,
Growthfarming.com.
Growthfarming.com.
See.
Hopefully in the future we can do some of those cool displays, that pop up at the bottom of the screen. We're just not there yet.
What's your website, Travis?
TravisEason.com. Yep. You can learn a little bit about me there.
And you have a super kick-ass tattoo book.
Well, thank you for that. It is a few years outdated, and it is social media and tattooing. We could do a whole podcast just on that. I commend every single artist out there, whether you're a sculptor, painter, skateboard maker, tattoo, whatever your craft is, if you also have the wherewithal to make good content. Sam and I have a great friend, Molly McDonald. She's on TikTok. She's making stained glass, and she's really great about putting together a story and making nice content. And it's just, hats off to everybody that does that, in my opinion. My total hats off. Again, I have struggled with social media and the concept of as a content creator before social media even was existing. I was a content creator. I went to school for it. I know how to do all the things. And it just felt like a slap to me and all of my peers and colleagues, like, oh, now you have to do all that for free and share it with everybody so that these companies can make an absurd amount of money off of what you've put out there for free. And I've never really gotten over it. I still have maybe a resentment about that to some degree. It bothers me.
I want to have some conversations with you about this.
Yeah. So maybe we can pick up on this a little bit next time. Leave comments in the comments down below. We'd love to hear what you have to say. If you could hear us, if we look silly.
Or sexy.
Or sexy. We like those too.
Actually, we both know. And check out Travis's your whole.
I brought the brown to town.
You brought the brown to town. Rock and roll.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Well, let's sign off for today. I think we put out some decent content. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to continue to try to be authentic and truthful and honest, and hopefully bring something to the table.
Authentically is It's interesting because I I have on my wall in my bedroom, I've got what I call my I am wall, and it's affirmations written in letters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I A M, and what makes up each one of those letters is a written series of affirmations. On my M is No Limit Soldier. So I was explaining what that was to my person, and I was like, it's from a Master P song. I just like the line, and that's who I am. And so then what it made me do is it made me want to go listen to the song. So I'm listening to Make Him Say,
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized, like, what's the show name? Which sounds a lot like, So,
Make him say,
So there was something really sweet and poetic about that.
I like it. All right. Well, D, thanks for today.
Thank you, buddy.
Looking forward to next week. Fist bumps,
Fist bumps,
handshakes.
Yeah. Which one is it?
I don't know. Love you, brother.
Love you too, buddy.
All right.
Deuces.
Fade to black.